Happy 4th of July. You probably won't be seeing this on July 4th unless by some miracle I can diagnose and fix the electrical problem in Chris Jr.'s car that's got it burned out. As you can see, we have no juice in the car. A couple of days ago I was driving to pick up Chris Jr. from his job, and I was in a parking lot. I went over a couple of speed bumps. Every time I went over a speed bump, the car would try to stall. It'd go down to like 400 RPMs, and it barely stay running. But as soon as the car leveled out, it was still driving normal. Naturally, I assumed this was some kind of fuel issue. I thought when the car was going up and coming down, I was pinching a fuel line somewhere, maybe in the new tires, or the fuel pickup was sloshing, or something, the carburetor was going wrong. And I pulled over and I tried to figure it out, and everything seemed fine. Pulled up to an intersection, and the car was trying to die out and just sitting there at idle. It was idling down like 400 RPMs. I kept giving it gas, and it was really struggling, really hesitating, but it would pick up over 2,000 RPMs. It would start running kind of normally. The light turned green. I tried to gun it to get it home, and it just, someone turned off the power in the middle of the intersection. Coasted off to the side of the road, and two really nice deputy sheriffs helped me push it all the way off the road. And then I called insurance and got a tow truck and brought it home, and that's where we are now. I forgot to mention earlier that when I was coasting off to the side of the road, a giant plume of smoke came up from this general area over here. Huge plume of smoke. I popped the hood. I thought I had an actual electrical fire. There were no flames. Nothing was on fire, but something over here smoking like crazy. I yanked the battery terminal off, and the smoke went away instantly. The weird thing was I could never figure out exactly what was smoking. It's just a big cloud of smoke. And something down here was smoking. But nothing was hotter to the touch than normal. So I'm not sure what it was. As soon as I turned off the power, it stopped. Really hoping it's just this really old voltage regulator down here. I don't think it's the starter solenoid. It could be some of our ghetto wiring, which you can see here. Future Chris here. This comment is not going to age well. Spoiler alert. It is the starter solenoid, amongst other things. Let's play a game. How about you watch this video of me monkeying around with all the wiring, all the electronics, and try to point out how many mistakes you see me make during all this. Do not turn this into a drinking game. You will die of alcohol poisoning. It gets ugly. The good news is our battery seems to be unharmed. We've got 12.8 volts just sitting here. So the battery's good. I was a little nervous that I might have cooked the battery somehow. I can't hold this thing on here and show you the readings, but I've got 12 volts going into the starter solenoid. And I've got 12 volts coming out of the starter solenoid to this link here. This is an absolute nightmare of wiring in here. But what I don't have is I don't have 12 volts beyond this. I have nothing beyond this. It is very difficult to see. I'm hoping it's that voltage regulator. I'm about to pull the harness off of it and test it, but I don't have anything coming out to the alternator with the battery hooked up, key on. Nothing is really making it beyond this. This could be a problem. I've got a white wire coming off the alternator harness. There's no power to it right now, but it looks like there should be. And I have no idea where this goes. There's a male end, a female end. There's no male end. I don't know where this was. That could be a problem. Random white wire is pretty crispy and kind of burned. It appears, looking at a diagram, that this is supposed to be the choke wire. It definitely isn't hooked up to the choke because I have it wired independently. but that's not a good thing. That was probably a hot wire. I don't know if I had it capped off, or I don't have it capped off. I don't know if I had it taped up somewhere or what I did with it and why it's just sitting here. And no, currently trying to jump the starter solenoid directly to the starter with a screwdriver isn't working. Power on with the key on. There's no power going beyond this. So yeah, I've already tried it. It doesn't work. The starter's not getting juice. The alternator's not getting juice. The dash isn't getting juice. So our signal stops somewhere in this nightmare here. All right, so this is kind of odd. Key on, battery hooked up. The solenoid's getting 12 amps in. Here, I'm not getting anything out to the starter. So it may be the solenoid burned out. The solenoid wire is actually conducting. So I've got a good signal through it, but the solenoid itself isn't putting out anything. These breakers here have power going in and coming out. They seem to be functioning fine. My alternator harness does not seem to be functioning at all. Somewhere in here, which it's really hard to tell where it goes, I believe it goes through the voltage regulator. My alternator harness with key on and the battery hooked up has nothing going through the alternator harness. It's not good. This could be part of our problem. There's power coming in here, no power coming out here. I don't think that's supposed to do that. Pulled everything apart. This is not a factory voltage regulator, made in China, aftermarket, no Ford part number. Solenoid, pretty rough shape, but I don't think that's our only problem. Yeah, this could have definitely been what was smoking. That looks like it's melted in there, so that could be an issue. But there are a lot of issues, like this circuit breaker here is just sitting here. It was hooked up here. This was bolted to the hot side of the solenoid, but this was just sitting there down in the fender, not hooked up to anything, just zip tied together. So this was an open power source, just sitting there touching things. I don't know where it goes. It goes into the dash. I don't know if this is main dash harness power or what, because I didn't wire this, but I got to figure that out. All right, so I've hooked the solenoid back up for a moment. Got power in. I've got 12 amps into the starter solenoid. I've got 12 amps out to the starter. I've got 12 amps also going into the car wherever this goes. This circuit is working. I got 12 in and 12 out. This wire is hot right now. Got no power inside, so that's not good. I do not have anything coming out to the starter, the actual ignition wire right now. And I'm pretty sure I should. A couple of things. I tracked down our mystery red wire. I forgot this thing used to have an electric fuel pump. This is our electric fuel pump. This was through that circuit breaker, and then it's to a relay in the back, and it's still got power when you hook it up. So that's still working if I ever need it, but it does me no good now. So that's our mystery wire that goes into the dashboard. I had to pull panels and pull carpet and track it. I forgot about it. So that doesn't help us. This, however, does help us quite a bit. Can you see that? Yeah, that's a problem. That has melted. That has been on fire, and I believe that is going to be main power into our harness and into our voltage regulator, and this should be what is preventing us from getting power into the main harness in the car. Hopefully I can just fix this, plug this into hot, and the car will suddenly start. All right, this blue harness wire was cooked pretty far down. I had to trim it back quite a bit. You can see it doesn't really reach anywhere anymore. But I'm going to try hooking this up through the circuit breaker to the solenoid, to the battery, and just see if I get any power into the car. Got it hooked up, key off right now. And just see if that'll work as kind of a ghetto rig. Yes, the tack has got power. I don't know if the dash has power or not. Oh, yep, there goes the fuel gauge. So the dash has power now. All right, so that's a start. I hooked the solenoid back up to the starter. I just want to see if it'll try to turn over. No. Okay, but the dash is working, but I'm not getting anything to the starter. So that definitely could have burned out our starter solenoid. Good news, bad news. I am now getting 12 volts in to the voltage regulator, which I've hooked back up. There's no voltage coming out of it. There should be, so that could be a problem. Headlight check. All right, we've got main power back to the car, and I tried jumping the starter again. I'm guessing the inside of the starter solenoid is just cooked. I do have power going to the starter, but I've got nothing coming out the starter wire for the main harness. So hopefully just a starter solenoid and some new wiring here. This is still ghetto rigged. I've got to fix it properly. I don't even know if I showed off the unholy abomination that is my alternator harness. I did not do this. It came this way, but I have to take full responsibility for this because I knew this was a problem. I knew this was horrible and disgusting. And I let it ride because it worked. I need to try to find a new one of these and fix this. Believe it or not, our unholy abomination of an alternator harness is actually working. It still conducts electricity. It still sends signal. It's still sending power to the alternator. I just hooked it up and I got 12 volts to it. The only thing not getting 12 volts is this thing. Also, pretty good indicator that the solenoid could be a big problem is after just a couple of minutes being hooked up to run some tests, this thing was scalding hot. I'm hoping that I'm seeing a little bit of light at the end of this tunnel. A little gold at the end of the rainbow. Kind of really starting to feel starter solenoid on this thing. And starter solenoid could have burned up this wire, so I'm hoping that's all it is. Gonna go to the parts store, try to get some new wiring connectors. This wire looks okay once you get a little bit further down to it. I'm gonna strip it a little further, clean it up, hook up a new end, get a new starter solenoid, and see if I can get an alternator harness. And I remember the last time I was in O'Reilly's, they did not have an alternator harness, anything like this. So I know this car, this is not a 1982 alternator. This is not a factory 1982 alternator harness because it's not this oval shape. And that was a problem I had a while back. That's one reason this thing is still on here. I forgot about that. It's been 5 minutes and this thing is still pretty hot to the touch on the ends here. And this, of course, broken. But I'm hoping this is the problem. Back from O'Reilly's, they had our starter solenoid in stock. So we're going to try putting that on. Once again, no luck trying to find an alternator harness that matches this nightmare. I know this harness, this football shaped pigtail, doesn't go to this car. This alternator doesn't go to this car. They didn't have anything in stock that would just fit in, and I really don't feel like Frankensteining this thing any more than it already is. So I'm just going to try to clean this up, reconnect it, fix it, make it last for a while. Then hopefully here soon we can do a one-wire alternator upgrade on this car and just get rid of all of this. Got the new solenoid hooked up now, just sitting here on the battery. We've got 12 volts in, got 12 volts to the harness, 12 volts to the alternator. I'm going to hook up and see if it'll start. We've got power to the dash. Still nothing to the starter. Everything in the car has power now. Still nothing to the key. God only knows what short-circuited between here and there. My voltage regulator now has 12 volts in, 12 volts out. I rechecked it. I must have messed something up earlier. It seems to be working. Still not getting anything going to the starter when I turn the key. I'm not sure whether it's something in the dash or whether it's the starter itself. Man, I'm hoping it's not the starter, because it's not even trying to do anything. Like all real mechanics do, I hit my starter solenoid with a wrench. I'm now getting 12 volts across the solenoid to the starter. Key is on. I'm getting 12 volts across. I'm also getting 12 volts when you turn the key to the little ignition agitator switch here. I had my daughter come out, turn the key for me. So the solenoid is now working. I was not getting 12 volts across to the starter earlier. Hit it with a wrench, good to go. That's how that works. I also tried hooking the starter up directly to the battery, and absolutely nothing happened. So I may have cooked my starter. Good times. By some insane twist of fate, I found White Trash's starter while I was on the phone with my buddy Stephen Holtz from Just Drive It. This is White Trash's original 1988. You can see what beautiful condition it's in. It is all rusted out. However, the wheel, no, right now I'm a liar. The wheel does spin, so I'm going to put power to this and see if it'll start. All right, I'm double checking one more time just before I have to jump to the next step, which I'm trying to avoid, but both sides of the solenoid have 12 volts. One last time just to make sure I've got everything hooked up correctly. I've got this hooked up to the ignition agitator wire for the starter solenoid. Got it pinned in there. And I've got this inside the wire between the solenoid and the starter. And when I turned the key, I was getting 12 volts. So the starter is getting power. I think the starter's just cooked. I can't remember if I told y'all, but I tried to jump this one with jumper cables. No joy. So that did not work. So it looks like I'm going to need a new starter. There is not a starter anywhere in stock here. It's 4th of July. I work tonight. I work the next 3 nights. It'll probably be Monday night or Tuesday night, the 8th or 9th, when I finally get around to doing this. Super weird. When I hook this starter up directly to the battery, works really well. So something is not going right getting power to the starter. Now that I know the starter works, sure am glad I had to pull that out, but I've got it hooked back up to the solenoid. There's nothing. I'm not getting anything in the solenoid. There's no 12 volts coming out of this trying to start the starter. Can't remember if I mentioned it or not, but the starter wire from the solenoid to the starter is working just fine. It's flowing current really well. I tested it. I'm pretty irritated right now. Earlier, when I got this starter solenoid, they told me they had a few in stock. This one didn't work. Just come back and grab a new one. So I tried to do that, and they told me, whoops, never mind, we don't actually have any in stock. There could be one here tomorrow, but not today. There are none in the area. I won't be here tomorrow. I'm going to work here in a little bit, and I'm going to be gone the next 4 nights. So it's Thursday. I guess I'll see y'all either late Monday or Tuesday. Try to get a new solenoid and get back at this, figure out what's wrong. Gonna go ahead and put the starter back in since there's nothing wrong with it. Sitting around at work, Fixating on the car, trying to figure out what I did wrong, rewatching all the video from earlier, trying to figure it out, and yeah, I did a whole lot wrong. So yeah, there are quite a few reasons why this has not gone well so far. I was tired and cranky when I started this project, and I got more tired and more cranky the longer it went and the more failures I had, because I was tired and I was cranky and I was hungry and I was getting worse and worse as it went, and I had to come to work tonight, meaning I was on the clock, had a timer, and I did not meet that, making it worse. There were little issues that weren't a big deal, like I kept tapping the incoming ignition power, the key on or the key crank power tab. I kept tapping that every time I was talking about the outgoing starter power that went from the solenoid to the starter. I kept tapping the wrong place. I had it right in my mind. I just kept tapping the wrong thing for some reason. That didn't really make a big difference. What did make a big difference was when I was using the multimeter incorrectly, and I was grounding or using the outgoing starter power wire as a ground, and then saying something stupid like, see, I've got outgoing power to the starter, but the starter won't start. That's what led me to having to remove the starter, because I was doing it wrong. And then I'm sitting there watching videos going, oh dear God, did I really do this entire thing without grounding the solenoid? Yes. Yes, I did. And I'm wondering why I'm not getting any current going anywhere. And nothing was grounded. Both the bolt holes in the back of the solenoid are supposed to be grounded to the firewall or the fender or the frame or something. They're supposed to be grounded to help conduct current, especially since my starter is a one-wire starter and it's not grounded anywhere else. Hopefully, now that I have main power back in the car, which is a miracle I was able to do that correctly. I mean, it's just one wire, but I'm kind of shocked I did that correctly. But hopefully now when I get back to it, I can just bolt this all back together and get it going in, like, I should say 10 minutes. So with me, an hour. But no matter what, I'm not going to edit any of that out, because I really did that. I spent like 8 hours today dealing with that car. Now 2 hours of that were back and forth to the parts store a couple times, but I was probably under the hood of that car and underneath that car for 6 solid working hours, being really stupid. Drugs are bad, McCoy. Unfortunately for me, it was worse. No drugs involved. I'm a night shifter trying an early morning car project while sleep deprived. Don't do it. I'm more sleep deprived now than I was this morning because I haven't slept. But I'm used to being up at night, so I'm thinking a lot more clearly now. Hopefully, I can get this thing taken care of in another 5 days. God, that's depressing. All right, I'm back. It's Monday, Tuesday, Monday. It's early. That is a rooster crowing. It's early. Still like 100 degrees because, you know, Texas, but let's see if we can get this thing done. Let's hope and pray it's not another 8 hours or something. Well, we have this hooked back up. We have this grounded. We're ready to roll, and look, we didn't have main power again. This entire main harness wire is just rotten in here. The wire just snapped off right here from our circuit breaker. So we've got to try to find some good wire in this and redo this thing again. So I opened up the main power harness here, and you can see we got a little bit of singeing here where these two wires join to this link. We got to see if we've got any usable wire in this wire that we can even splice off of. So I've had to shorten this up considerably, relocate this. We're gonna hope and pray this main power wire just stays good a little while longer. I don't have any replacements right now. Kind of taped this up where it was singed. I'm going to tape up a couple other wires separately that have some burn marks on them. There's definitely some kind of arcing or something going on in here. And I'll rewrap this up and we'll see if it starts. Oh, most importantly, I grounded this. Yeah, really, really important. Pump the gas a couple times, try to start it. It's incredible what happens when you take the time to, ground your electronics. Unreal. That whole time, this was all that was wrong. I just had this free floating trying to mess with the wiring. Oh yeah, I gotta wire the alternator. I forgot about that. I gotta put our alternator harness back on. Definitely all fixed permanently forever. All our little open spots on the wire, all our little electrical shorts, definitely fixed forever with electrical tape. This will never come back to bite us ever again. All right, seems like we've got charging going on. So the alternator's working. All right. Headlights working, buddy? We're back. It runs. We're not on fire. We have electricity and everything. And we picked up. Who are you? Why are you in my car? I'm just here. We picked up some random kid somewhere. I'm not sure who he is. All right. Hey, it only took a week to fix this. Wait, who are you? Why are you in my car? Where'd you come from? You weren't here helping me with this the rest of the week. Ugh. Bunch of part-timers. Let's just sum up what you've just seen. What should have been a 1-hour project, including all the wiring issues, took a week. Yeah, so car systems, DC systems, direct current, they like grounds. Everything likes to be grounded. So do it, use it, learn it, love it. All right, that's it. I'm going to go do that thing that people do. Sleep, yeah. I'm gonna do that thing and never think about the wiring in this car again, because I'm sure it's perfectly fine for another 42 years. That's something Junior can deal with after I'm long dead and gone, and he and his kids can worry about, right? Right, because I'm sure it won't be an issue ever again. But this kind of screws things up. Today was supposed to be all about building my long block for my car, and tomorrow we're supposed to start paint and body work and restoration on Junior's car, and that's going to kind of get backed up, so I'm not really sure what we're going to do next. But anyway, thanks for watching me botch this entire thing. Have a good one.